My name is Josh Miller. I own River Stone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our Duck Dogs podcast is spelled uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home. I've been feeding my dogs Eukanuba Premium Performance Sport 3020 for well over a year and a half now, and I cannot tell you the differences that I have seen in my dogs in energy level, in health, in performance, in recovery after that performance. All around, I could not be happier with this food. I am very, very picky when it comes to the food that I put in my dogs. I treat all of my dogs as athletes, and I have to feed them as such. I am beyond ecstatic with my Eukanuba food, and I would highly suggest you go out there and try it with your dog. There are very few places that we as gun dog owners, handlers, trainers can go as a one-stop location to get all of our training needs. Go to gundogsupply.com and you will be blown away not only with the selection of products that they have, but their customer service is second to none. You will not be disappointed. I know the Snells personally. I hunt with them on a regular basis, and I promise you, you will have a great experience going to gundogsupply.com. There are very few things that have changed the way that I hunt, but Sitka gear is one of those things. Not only am I more comfortable, but I'm more confident while I'm in the field when I have the correct attire on. I have also incorporated this into my training because, again, if I'm more comfortable, I can be more focused at my task at hand, which has actually changed the way that I can communicate and work with these dogs. If you have not seen or checked out the Sitka gear, it's a game changer. You got to do it. If you guys have not checked out the Lucky Duck Kennel, I highly suggest that you do that. In my opinion, it is the best kennel on the market. It is one of the very few 5-star crash test rated kennels out there. It is light enough that I can move it around, my wife can move it around with ease, but it keeps my dogs safe. If you have not seen it, you got to go check it out. Your dogs will thank you for doing so. What is up, everybody? Thanks for joining me again. I can tell you, wherever you are, I sure hope you're having more fun than I am. Because here in Arkansas, it is slow, like really slow. And, you know, it's one of those things that as we get up every morning and you can just feel there's less and less excitement, less and less optimism. We just haven't got that push of birds. There's a lot of frustration. But with that, as we're kind of looking at these podcasts, I felt like this was a very unique opportunity to talk about something that we don't often talk about. And so I'm doing this currently with a couple of my young dogs, and so I thought it was great to kind of share that and let you know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And it is not hunting them. I know that sounds, might sound silly and might go, well, what's the point in that? But let me tell you what is going on here. It is so poor right now with where we're hunting that, we're not even pulling the trigger on some of these hunts. And if we are, it might be, once or twice at birds that are tree topping because they're just not going to do it, right? And it's one of those things that for a young dog, it can be extremely frustrating. You can work backwards. We always talk about getting the dog in the field, getting that live exposure, getting them that live hunt experience, which is all great. But you need to be killing birds in order to do that, right? And so, I had a conversation with a guy. We actually went into a restaurant, started talking about dogs, yada, 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 these things go. And the conversation came up, and he asked a question, why I would be sitting dogs out and why, and so that's what kind of led to this. And so I want to talk about these young dogs in particular. So For those of you who follow the kennel, River Stone Kennels, you see Brock, you see Clyde, you see Bud, you see Strike, you see these dogs. They're very seasoned. They've done this year after year. They know what is going on. And, Brock is a great example. Brock sat on a tree stand for 7 hours 2 days ago. We never shot a bird, never even took the gun off the tree stand. 7 hours. And what did he do the entire time? He sat and he scanned the skies because he was waiting for that bird, to come over. Like, he knows what's going on. I can take out right now, and I know I'm not going to completely go backwards with him. But I can tell you some of these young dogs, they're going to sit there for a couple hours and go, what are we doing? You can feel the frustration. You can feel the anxiety, to an extent of them wanting to please, but they don't know what it is that they're supposed to do to please. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your dog is sit them out. This is a prime example of that. I have a couple young dogs that I've taken out, and at this point, they're not going to hunt again the rest of the season if it keeps up like this. And the reason is like I've witnessed them go backwards. These are dogs that were fantastic during training. One of them in particular, went through his season level tests, never failed one. Started into finish, was doing fantastic. He never failed a test all year. That dog went on 3 hunts in a row. He got no retrieves, 1 retrieve, no retrieves, and on the 3rd hunt, he curled up on that tree stand and went to sleep because he doesn't know what's going on. We talk about this all the time. Waterfowl hunting, one of the most difficult things that we have is that we cannot train for the entire game. Upland hunting, we can. We can go plant birds. We can go simulate that. We can go to a game farm on pen-raised birds. We can do all that, right? We can't do that waterfowl hunting. We need to get on those live hunts where there's birds working so that they get it. So I'm looking at these young dogs going, my goodness, you're not understanding why we're out here. I'm going to lose drive. I'm going to lose motivation. I'm going to lose that eagerness to be here because you think this is boring, right? You come out here, you sit, we don't do anything. That is not how to build this drive up and how to build the enthusiasm. What I need to do with those young dogs is I need to wait until I have an absolute slammer lined up and then bring them out and just blow their mind. Make them want to be there. Because if I keep going out and keep putting them in that situation, I'm going to continue to move backwards with them. Sitting the dogs out can be the absolute best thing that you can do. Now, I know a couple people are out there going, okay, I can only go on a couple hunts a year. I got to have my dog with me. So one, let me back up. The whole I got to have my dog with me thing, like you are talking to a dog guy. My entire life revolves around this. But the thought of I need to have my dog with me will get you into trouble at one point or another. It could be that you have very little birds. It could be that you're a guest on a hunt and the person that's hosting it has a dog that is going to be detrimental to yours, whether that is a dog fight, whether that's a dog that breaks, whether that's a dog that whines, whether that's a dog. I mean, there's so much that can go on that you having your dog could actually make you move backwards, right? And so it's not just the bird thing, it's situational. We had a hunt the other day that it was so funny. I called this from the get-go. So we were setting up. We were invited to go out with an outfitter that just happens to hunt in the same area that we do in Arkansas. And he just likes us coming out because he knows we have badass dogs and we can help pick up. We can help get the big sailors. We can help do all that stuff. But his clients will often have dogs. And so he had 2 sets of clients. One set of client had a little black lab, little female, first year. The other guy had a wire hair, and then I had Clyde with me. And I made a comment to my buddy, just because, and I'm not breed prejudiced at all, okay? But I saw how out of control that wire hair was the second he came out of the truck, and I looked at my buddy and I said, Clyde will not be going anywhere near that dog because he's going to get bit. Like, you can just tell by that dog. He came out, he was wanting to be dominant. The wire hairs have that German in them anyways, that they want to go, kind of bow up and do that. And we had just set up, and all of a sudden there is screaming coming from the other end of the blind as that wire hair grabbed that little black lab and was shaking her all over the place. It's like that situation right there, for the guy with the young black lab, he had to have that dog there. And I get, like, you're walking into, in that specific case, you're walking into a situation you don't really know, right? But where I'm going with this is that the thought process of you need to have your dog there will oftentimes get you into trouble if it's not the right situation. Now, with the right situation, of course, we need to have those dogs there. We need to, continue to build them up. But, that's where, when you get to a point like you have a Brock, a Bud, a Clyde, that has been there, done that, has done all that stuff, like, I can hold them back. I can make sure, that if the other dogs are breaking, other dogs are doing, like, I know that they're going to be good. But my young dogs, I'm not putting in that situation. Just like, going back to our original topic, when there are not birds, I am not putting my young dogs in those situations because we're only going to move backwards. So if you're on a hunt that you don't know if there's going to be birds, because of course we never do, right? If you don't know if there are going to be birds, the absolute best thing that you can do is do what is in your control to make sure that this is a fun, happy hunt, right? So a couple of things that I like to do is I like to, one, have a stand or a blind that they're familiar with. Okay, this is going to make them much more confident. If they're in a situation that they are stuck in a blind that they don't know, stuck, maybe sitting way off from you on a stand that they're unsure of, if there's nothing going on, you're going to start to see them get anxious because they're uncertain. At least if they're in a blind or a stand that they're comfortable with, they have that to where I'm looking for. They have that consistency of this I know, right? Then do things, some other things that are in your power. Bring a bumper. I know it's not the same thing as a bird. I know you're not getting the full experience, but if there's no birds to retrieve, at least you have something to give them to work and to have some fun and really make this that it's not a complete loss. One of the things I think is so neat about waterfowl hunting is the fact that you can't control it. Okay, like we're down here in Arkansas. If there are no ducks, there are no ducks. Okay, South Dakota, you go to pheasant hunt. Well, guess what? You can plant pheasants. Okay, and they do. But here you can't do that. Okay, and that back up, time out, because I know some of you guys are going, give me the WTF, like, oh, he doesn't like pheasant hunt. That's not true. It's just the fact of the matter is you can fabricate an upland hunt. You can't fabricate a waterfowl hunt. And so because of that, you as a dog handler need to be that much more educated and that much more sensitive to the situation that you're putting your dog in if you're going to build them and become successful. Okay. I know I'm talking about a young dog in this, but even dogs that have had a year or two of experience, if you put them on enough bad hunts in a row, you're going to see them work backwards. We're always trying to progress forward. We want to keep putting one foot in front of another, continue to progress forward no matter where our dogs are at, right? It's the way that we finish up and we progress forward through a training season. It's the way that we prepare for our next training season. But this hunt in between, you can really take either steps forwards or backwards depending on how that season is handled. So when you're going into these situations, really think about this, because I feel like this is more important than what anyone really gives credit to, and how you handle these situations is very important. For me, I'm not hunting them. I'm not putting them in those situations until I know that there's going to be birds. So something to think about, something we're dealing with. It is not fun. It's very frustrating, but I'm not going to move backwards. I want to keep progressing forward. I want to have a smashing season here. I want to have a smashing duck season too, but I'm going to have a great training season, and I don't want to come out of that with these guys not wanting to go do this. So have fun, keep enthusiastic, and make sure you keep progressing forward. Sometimes not getting them in the field is the best thing you can do to get that done. Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to Eukanuba, because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.